Hello my dear students, how are you? I hope all of you are fine and staying at home safely. This is your teacher Nasim Ahmed from Ideal Public School Kathigora. Students, I am here for class 8 science and I have started discussing the chapter microorganisms. This is the second chapter and the first part of this chapter I have already uploaded in the channel. I will provide you the link from where you can go and watch the video. And before starting this video, I would like to suggest you to go and watch the video first, because the concept of this chapter is provided on that video. After watching that video, you come to this video and watch the rest of the video. And this video is very much important for you, as I have discussed very important topic of this chapter in this video. So without any further ado, let's get started. Students, in this video we'll be discussing about the types of microorganisms. As we know, there are variety of microorganisms found in the Earth's crust. This can be classified in 5 major groups. These are bacteria, algae, protozoa, fungi, viruses. So you can see 4 pictures here. These are bacteria, these are fungi, these are protozoa, and these are algae. So we'll be discussing each and every groups in detail in this video. So let's start with the first group. This is bacteria. Let's start knowing about bacteria. It is said that bacteria have lived on the earth for much longer than human beings. They are believed to be the first living beings to have appeared on the earth. Okay. In 1677, Anton van Leeuwenhoek has discovered microorganisms. On the same year, he observed bacteria for the first time. And you can see bacteria are single-celled organisms. Single-celled, that means they are not multicellular. So there are 2 kinds of organisms are there. One is unicellular, another one is multicellular. Unicellular means single-celled, multicellular means more than 2 cells. So these bacteria are mostly what? Mostly single-celled. That means in an organism, in a single organism, one single cell will be there. Inside this, the cell organelles will be present, and these bacteria live together in colonies. They are found basically in 3 shapes. So the 3 shapes are rod shaped. One is rod shaped, then spherical shaped, then spiral. So rod shapes are actually called bacillus, and they are they may be found with flagella or without flagella. So what is flagella? You can see the bacillus here. These are the rod shaped bacteria, and from the one end of the bacteria there may be one outer growth, and that will be called as flagella, and that will help them in their movement. Okay, so they may be with flagella or without flagella, and one important thing is they causes very dangerous diseases in human beings, such as tuberculosis, diphtheria, tetanus, and leprosy, and so many other diseases are there. Then we'll talk about these spherical shaped bacteria. This is the first diagram you can see here. These are spherical shaped, and these are called coccus. Okay, these are called coccus, and the plural form of this coccus is cocci. Then you have spiral. So you can see these are spiral, or you can say twisted. Okay, you can see the diagram here. These are spiralia. These are called spiralia, and they are twisted, or we can say they are spiral. Okay, let's talk about decomposers now. So what are decomposers? So some organisms we can find in the Earth's crust. Their job is to decompose the dead thing or the unwanted waste products. Okay, so under decomposers mostly bacteria are found. Okay, and they decomposes the thing for the purpose of their food. Okay, now we'll talk about anaerobic bacteria and aerobic bacteria. Anaerobic bacteria are the bacteria that grow without the help of oxygen, or we can say without the presence of oxygen. These are anaerobic bacteria, and aerobic bacteria are those bacteria which grow in the presence of oxygen, or for the growth of the aerobic bacteria the presence of oxygen is required. Let's see the uses of bacteria. first use is fixation of nitrogen. Rhizobium bacteria changes the nitrogen of air into nitrate. So the nitrogens present in the air, they are being converted into nitrate by these rhizobium bacteria, and these are present in the nodules of root, and this process is called fixation of nitrogen. Okay, so here is the first use of nitrogen. Then you have decays of plants and animal wastes. So we have understood the decomposers, which decomposes the waste products of animals or the dead animals for the purpose of their food, and by this way they produces humus, which increases the soil fertility. Okay, then you have the third use, this is food production. So let's understand how the food is produced by the help of bacteria. So there is a bacteria called lactobacillus. This bacteria helps in the fermentation and the production of curd and cheese, and along with it bacteria are also used in the production of coffee and tea. Now, how these bacteria are used in digestion of animals? Escherichia coli bacteria is present in intestine of humans, okay, and herbivorous animals, where they help in the digestion of food. So Escherichia coli is a kind of bacteria which is present in the intestine. So we know about our body that we have large intestine and small intestine. So inside this small intestine, this Escherichia coli is present and they help in the digestion of animals. Okay, then how these bacteria are used in industries? So these bacteria helps to produce wine and vinegar. Okay, wine and vinegar, they help in making meat tender for tanning of skin to produce leather. That means they help in the production of leather. Then they lined thread and obtained from flax plant by the process called retting. Bacteria enters the stem of plant and destroy the stem tissues and lose the fibers which are used for making threads. So for making threads also the bacteria are used. Then you have, it helps in production of some vitamins and antibiotics, and this bacteria helps in the production of industrial chemicals and citric acids. So these are some uses of bacteria in industries. I hope you have understood. Students, let's talk about the harmful effect of bacteria. Bacteria are mostly parasites. So what are parasites? Parasites are some organisms that live on other organisms for the purpose of food or shelter or any other purpose, and they may harm the other organism. Okay, they can cause a large number of disease also. Okay, like tuberculosis, I have told you already, tuberculosis, typhoid, okay, very dangerous disease, tetanus, whooping cough. These bacteria spoils the food also, spoils the food, fruit and vegetables. It also spoils the milk by curdling it. Okay, so these are some harmful effects of bacteria. I hope you have understood something about bacteria. If you have not understood, you can watch this part again and go through the discussion so that you can understand more easily. Let's talk about the next category. So the next category is algae. Algae are simple plant-like organisms. They are aquatic in nature, they live in water. Algae are autotrophic, very important thing. Algae are what? Autotrophic. That means they can produce their own food. It can be unicellular or multicellular also. On the basis of the pigment present, algae are classified as green algae, blue-green algae and diatoms. So you see the pigment, that means in the plants, we know in the plants the pigments are present, and because of that they can produce their own food, isn't it? The pigment present in the plant is called chlorophyll. We all know about it, and this is green in color, isn't it? So for the example of green algae, you can take Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra. You can see here the diagram. Chlamydomonas, I have given the diagram here, Chlamydomonas, and you have Spirogyra also, you can see here. If you talk about blue-green algae, they are single-celled colonial autotrophs. They have a primitive cell structure. the cell structure of earlier time. Some algae can be used as fertilizer because they can fix autotrophic nitrogen to usable compounds. This is helpful in crop growth, and capacity of soil to hold water improves. So if you talk about diatoms are marine algae which float in water due to the presence of light storage, okay, fats along with silica. So now we'll talk about the uses of algae. The uses of algae are very important. You can see here the algae are being used in medicine. Antibiotics are prepared from like chlorella, okay. In industries also they are being used. Different commercial products are obtained from algae like agar, sodium, potassium and iodine. So as food they are being used. Algae are rich in nutrients, so eaten as salad and soups, okay. In agriculture, some algae like bruggelin algae help in nitrogen fixation, as we have already studied. Some seaweeds are used as fertilizers, okay. In space also they are being used. How they are used? In recent years, algae is used as a source of oxygen in spaceships and also as food. So you can see the use of algae is very important for you. Now let's talk about the harmfulness of algae, the harmful effect of algae. So algae are toxic also. Algae produce toxic substances which affect the fish in water. These are parasitic. Some algae are parasite and cause serious diseases, okay. Then water pollution. Some algae grow in water and their multiplication can change the odor and taste of water. So this will be water pollution. Then algae can damage textiles and buildings. So you can see we have understood from the first video that algae or any kind of microorganisms, they are useful for us but they are harmful also. So these are the harmful effect of algae. I hope you have understood. The next category is fungi. Fungi are also plant-like organisms that do not contain chlorophyll. Okay, this is important. Earlier we have got algae. They are plant-like organisms but they contain chlorophyll. They are autotrophic. But these fungi, they are also plant-like organisms but they do not contain chlorophyll. And they can be unicellular or multicellular. As for example, you can take yeast, Penicillium, Aspergillus. So these fungi are very much important for you. Why? We'll understand it in the later part of this video. After taking the bread in the contact of air for few days, you can see this kind of structure in the bread, okay. Now we'll talk about kinds of fungi. First one is parasitic fungi. What are parasitic fungi? Parasitic fungi are the fungi that grow on animals from which they obtain ready-made food, are called parasitic fungi, like mildews, okay. Here they don't do anything, they just take the food, okay. Then you have saprophytic fungi. Fungi that grow on decaying or rotting plant or animal remains are called saprophytic fungi, like molds. Molds can be seen on anything that we eat, like bread, old pickles, rotting fruit. So here you can see parasitic fungi are growing on animals or living beings, and saprophytic and fungi are living on decayed or rotting plants or something which is non-living, okay. So these are the kinds of fungi. Students, now we'll talk about the uses of fungi. Are used as food. Mushrooms are eaten as food. Mushroom is a kind of fungi that can be eaten as food, okay. Cakes and breads are made by the help of yeast. So yeast, the name of the yeast that is being used in production of cakes and breads, I have told you in the class. The name of that yeast is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So how these cakes or breads are made? Let's see. The fungus called yeast reproduce in flour dough and produces carbon dioxide during respiration, which makes the dough soft and helps in making bread, cakes, biscuits and pastries. Fungi are used in the manufacture of alcohol, wines by the process called fermentation. So this is the process by which these wines, alcohols are made, and fungi helps in that process. Fungi are used in medicinal purpose also. Medicines are made from some fungi. Penicillin comes from fungus Penicillium. So you see this is very important for you to know that what is penicillin and what this do and from where it is coming. So let's understand it, students. In 1929, Alexander Fleming, this person is Alexander Fleming. In 1929, Alexander Fleming was working on culture of disease causing bacteria. The bacteria that causes disease. He was working on that project. Suddenly he found the spores of a little green mold in one of his culture plates. Okay. He observed that the presence of mold prevented the growth of bacteria. In fact, it also killed many of these bacteria. You see, very important innovation for us, for the human beings. From this, the mold penicillin was prepared. So you see, while experimenting with the disease causing bacteria, he suddenly found that a little green mold in his culture plate where he was growing the bacteria, and then he followed that some of the bacteria are dead and some of the bacteria and the growth of the bacteria are prevented by the presence of this mold, and by this way he prepared the penicillin, which is a revolutionary discovery in medical science. This person is Alexander Fleming. You should note that down. Okay. Then we have fungi helps in decomposition of dead tissues of plants and animals, which increases soil fertility. So like bacteria, fungi also helps in the decomposition, which increases soil fertility. Students, like fungi are helpful for us, they are also harmful for us. Why? Because they can spoil food. You see, spoilage of food. This is an orange, and you see some whitish and greenish kind of thing on the orange. These are fungi. Okay, this has grown, and by this way they have spoiled the food. You can see this is a bread, and the piece of bread is totally spoiled. You cannot eat it. If you eat, then this will create disease inside you. So this kind of spoilage of food can be done by fungi. Then you have what kind of diseases caused by fungi. Fungi causes skin diseases like athlete's foot and ringworm. Athlete's foot make the feet itch. Okay, athlete's foot make the feet itch. So you see the ringworm disease that you have on the skin, this is being produced by fungi. Okay, this is being caused by fungi. Okay, then you have spoilage of leather. Fungus grow on leather, footwear and cotton cloth which stay moist for long. So by this way they spoil the leather also. Okay, so these are some harmful effects of fungi. Students, let's talk about the next. Protozoas are unicellular microorganisms. They are mostly aquatic in nature. Okay, as for example amoeba, paramecium. So you can see the diagram of amoeba here. This is amoeba. Okay, we'll talk about amoeba later on this video. This is paramecium. Okay, this is paramecium. So now we'll be talking in detail about amoeba, paramecium. Okay, so amoeba is a unicellular organism that has the ability to change its shape. So it's an unicellular organism that has the ability to change its shape. Locomotion of amoeba occurs with the help of finger-like structures called pseudopodia. This is very important for you. Pseudo means false, podia means feet. So in the body of the amoeba, they don't have any kind of feet or any kind of structure which helps them in locomotion, but they have pseudopodia. That means a false feet that helps in the locomotion of amoeba. Amoeba feeds on teeny parts of plants like algae. Okay, the pseudopodia surrounds the food particle and takes it inside. So you can see this mechanism here. So if you consider this one as a this one as a food particle, and this is the whole body of amoeba. So how it is eating food, you see, this food particle is surrounded by the body parts of the amoeba, and after that it will close this opening. Okay, this opening it will close, and this food particle will be inside the body of the amoeba. By this way they take food. Okay, so I think you have understood something about amoeba. Students, let's talk about Paramecium. It is slipper shaped freshwater protozoa. Its body covered with minute hair like structures called cilia, okay, which help in the locomotion and catching prey. Cilia are structures in the covering of the protozoa Paramecium, okay, and they help in the locomotion and catching prey. Then you have Plasmodium. It causes malaria in human beings. So very important thing, malaria is caused by Plasmodium. Okay, this is a kind of protozoa. It lives as parasite in two hosts, in RBC and liver of man, and in the saliva and stomach of female Anopheles mosquito. So this malaria is being caused by, we know about this, that the mosquitoes, female Anopheles mosquito is responsible for the disease that is malaria. Okay, and this malaria is being caused by this Plasmodium protozoa. Okay, and they live as a host in the RBC and liver of man, and in the saliva and stomach of female Anopheles mosquito. I hope you are understanding my discussion. Students, let's discuss about the usefulness of protozoa. Protozoa helps in degradation of wastes. Protozoas are the food for aquatic animals like fish, mollusks. Some protozoas live in the alimentary canal of animals and help them to digest cellulose. So these protozoas are also helpful for us, and they are harmful for us also, as we have understood from the previous topic that they can cause malaria. Okay, so some protozoas are there which live in the alimentary canal of animals and they help to digest cellulose. Students, let's talk about the harmfulness of protozoa. Entamoeba histolytica in human intestine cause amoebic dysentery. This is very dangerous for human beings. Okay, Entamoeba gingivalis found in tartar on teeth cause pyorrhea. Okay, malaria is caused by the protozoa Plasmodium, as we have known. So how this Plasmodium causes malaria? Let's see. Plasmodium is injected when the female Anopheles bites and punctures the skin for blood. Once inside the human body, Plasmodium attacks the red blood cell. You are being infected by this protozoa Plasmodium. Students, we have come up to the last category here. This is virus, the most dangerous one, and the virus this is spreading here nowadays is coronavirus, as we know about this. So let's talk about virus, why these are very dangerous for us. Smaller than any other known cell, that means they are smaller, very smaller than the any other known cell that we have. It can produce only inside living bodies. It can reproduce only inside living bodies, means they need a host for reproduction. Okay, they cannot grow in normal situation, they cannot grow in normal atmosphere, they need a host for their reproduction. Okay, it is a borderline between a living and a non-living thing. That's why they are very much you can say, that is why they are very much dangerous, because they are the borderline. They are the borderline, means they are sometimes they are living, sometimes they are non-living. Okay, this is an image of bacteriophage. This is a kind of virus. Okay, and this is taken by electron microscope. Okay, very high quality microscope, and you can see how much dangerous it looks. Okay, they are very much tiny, and they are even smaller than the usual cell that we have. Okay, but in case of virus there is no usefulness, there is only harmfulness. Okay, all known kinds of viruses are pathogenic. Pathogenic means disease causing. Pathogenic means disease causing. That is parasites which cause many diseases in plants, animals and human beings. Polio, chickenpox, measles, common cold, AIDS are viral diseases. That means these are caused by virus. In cattle, virus infection causes foot and mouth disease. In cattle, virus infection causes foot and mouth diseases. So you can see the harmfulness is virus is wide in nature. Okay, they causes numerous kind of diseases, and these are very much life taking. Okay, so we have to be serious about the viruses. I think you have understood the discussion on the types of microorganisms. If you have any doubt regarding any topic of this chapter, you can directly question in the comment box here, or you can directly WhatsApp me, or you can call me and ask me. So thank you for watching, and you study hard at your home, because after this vacation you have exams and you have to be well prepared for the exams. So without any further ado, I am signing off. God bless.